So we are live and we're testing this out.
Mhm.
So you get to be on the channel for a few seconds, Don.
Yeah, I was on the last one by accident as well.
Yeah.
I clicked the wrong button.
All right. And I am removing myself as well. Hey, good to see already some people here. So we're going to be starting, as you can see from the timer, here in about an hour. And this is going to be kind of a work session. We're going to be planning the next year. I'm going to be bringing on a special guest, Manny Vaya. And you just got me and Dom here at Real Men Real Style. We are in the back end. Dom, I'll bring you back on just for a second so everyone can see that work with me here at Real Men Real Style. And we're just setting up here in the background. Again, everybody, countdown 50 something minutes. Good morning, Antonio from Jackson, Mississippi. And Raghav, good to see you. Miguel, good to see you. Joseph, good to see you. Did I have my jacket floating around? Joseph, I know you always want me to be wearing my jackets. It's floating around here somewhere, but still a little bit warm here in the office. Jeet, good to see you as well. So yeah, where you guys at? Greetings from Brazil. We got the powerful Phoenix out there. Uh, Hoker, good to see you. We've got Turkic Cripiot, greetings from North Cyprus. Very cool. Love having you guys from all over the world, and feel free to give your country a shout out in the comments to make sure that comment system is working. Dom and I are just going to be here in the background, getting everything set up. I'm going to get myself some coffee, and we are going to get started here in 50 minutes. See you guys soon. Hey guys, so today's session, we are going to be talking about planning out and preparing for 2022. I know a lot of you guys have already done this. So if you've got some guidance, if you've got some tips, you've got something you want to add, feel free to put some questions in the comments. Got Dom here. He's going to be going through, grabbing the best. But, I love being able to go through and, see Harsh being able to say, hey, what's up, Antonio? We got good morning. Carlos, good to see you. And Pepe, can't wait. This will be amazing. Now, some people, they like to, they put funny stuff. Apparently, Pepe, you saying you started, is that you, man? Started steroids and you got laid. I like how you've actually measured this. 73.4%. It just goes to show that you can say anything with statistics. But Pepe, be very careful with steroids. Your wee can get really small. Isn't that the? No, I love having fun with you guys, and it's good to see you guys. Who else is out there? All right, hi, good to see you, man. Got the Cyrillic alphabet going. I can't tell if that's Russian. It's funny. I'm married to a Slavic woman, and the reason I have such a good relationship with her parents is that I still cannot speak Russian or Ukrainian. Yes, very excited. And Pepe, good to see that you're laughing at yourself and laughing at me too. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, why do this stuff? And Duno 2.0, thank you very much. Appreciate you. And it's always good to have, people on. Kevin, good to see you from Florida. And, big good evening from Asia. Now we've got big UPS from Baltimore. And great surprise. Thank you. And let me see, we got Texas out there. We need another fragrance. Renee, I've got another fragrance video coming out. Actually, I just filmed it. It's I even have the whole setup back over here, which I'll give you guys a walk around, kind of show you guys some of my setup. But we got Israel out there. We've got India, a lot of Indians out there. I love you guys. Morning from Texas, Asia, Brazil. Again, North Cyprus. We saw Jackson, Mississippi earlier. Venezuela and Finland. Where else we got people from? You guys are all over the place. So Joseph, always good to see you out there. Let's see. And we got some new comments. Spain. Kazakhstan. That's right. Who else? Philippines. What? You don't like Alpha M? He's all ads disguised as videos. I disagree with that. He is all ads. There's no video in this. Like, that's where you've made the mistake is you guys know Aaron's my best friend, man. I call him pretty much every day. And or he calls me actually, and I need to send him a bill because I feel like I'm his therapist. But we take care of each other that way. Because who else can you commiserate with but somebody that like does stuff similar to what you do? Hong Kong, and let's see. Yep, always got to be laughing. Let's have a good time, guys. And who else do we got from Sweden? Jonas. So, you got to fill us in, man. Is it true what they say about the Swedish women? Is it true? Just let us know. Yes, that's right. We got a lot of people from India. You guys know I've been over to India. I haven't been for a while, but back in 2006, I was over there for a month. Where did we go? Flew into Delhi. We were down in, went down south, Mumbai, of course, and then Hyderabad, went over to Kerala. There was like some big communist rally going on at that time. That was pretty cool to see. I'm an American patriot, but I'm always like, people do whatever they want. It's like, but that was pretty interesting to see that over in Kerala. And then Hyderabad, because we were checking out Infosys and some of the other the larger companies out there. Have I ever been to Mexico? I'll be in Mexico, Carlos, in 2 days. So I'm going to be in Cancun, taking my family, which I know isn't really Mexico. I want to get down to Leon. I completely agree. My father's from Guanajuato. The village Romita is the area. And I know Leon is renowned for shoes. I've got my friend Jose Luis Rocha their factories down there, and they've got a big family plot of probably like 10 houses and 10 family members on this big area of land, and they want to get me out there. So, uh, can I speak Spanish? No. I need that is something, Rai guy. I wish my father would have taught me. And I've always had I think it's a mental block with languages. I I just find it's, you know, like with my wife, I just keep speaking English and she keeps loving me. She eventually learned English. But and that was why we had such a great relationship for the first 5 years. We couldn't talk with each other. We were just physically attracted to each other. And trust me, Antonio, I know I need to get out to Kazakhstan, man. The stands, yeah, Kazakhstan. That'd be a fun place to go. And what is my age? I am 45. Hello from Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. I've got an invite to Sri Lanka. A good friend of mine. He's out there running a company out there. Ooh, interesting. I just saw in the backdrop. If you look in the screen, some of that B-roll that we're putting. Can you recommend some fragrance specifically for a tropical country like the Philippines? I'm going to go light. Everything's going to be lighter for me. I would look at just Givenchy. Well, I would go look at the House of Givenchy. A little bit pricier, but just beautiful. I think in hotter weather. And what was it, gentlemen? The EDP. I think is darker, richer, but still, I think you could pull off in hot weather. And it's very similar to Dior Homme Intense, if you like that one, which. Hard to say which is going to be my favorite. I think people just hate on YouTubers in general. I don't think I've ever seen a YouTuber. Yeah, that's right. Raphael saying I'm awesome. Do you know? I do know Tomsk. I do know that city. My wife has kind of schooled me. We've talked a lot about. We go over a lot of geography and history, and she teaches our kids a lot of things, especially Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, Georgian history. So that's something she views as really important that we don't really learn as much here in the United States. That's one of the reasons we homeschool our kids is we just want to give them. My son went back to high school. It's not like we're kind of weirdos living off in the middle of nowhere. We just simply choose that we think we can give a better education. My wife and I, at the early phases. Once they start getting into calculus 3, I'm just like, okay, at that point I'm not using this stuff. So yeah, go learn it from somebody else. Tony, good to see you, man. Just over the border. That's right. We got Raul from Kenya, and Raul, in case you guys don't know, helps me out with my video editing. Checking in from Virginia. Good to see you. Eternity. I think it's really old school. I mean, it's fine and it's inexpensive, and it's a workhorse fragrance. My most memorable moment in your military days. There's a lot. There's a lot of them, but sometimes your most memorable moments aren't your best moments. I would think that. I think when I blew out my sinuses in a T-34 and I got sent to the infantry as an adjutant, that was probably very memorable, but it wasn't because it was a good thing. I went from one very different type of career path to another career path. That being said, it was a good move for me because I learned, you got to learn to accept what life throws at you sometimes and accept the challenge. And that's exactly what it was. It was a 2-year challenge that was very painful, but I learned a lot. I think it turned me into the man I am. So be blessed, sir. Well, thank you very much. Style icon, got quite a few. We'll say Raphael Schneider, right? What's a working man's fragrance? Because I'm a plumber and don't want an office fragrance. A working man's fragrance. Yeah, I'll have to go back. Yeah, you haven't checked out what I'm doing over at the Mission Fragrance website? Mission Fragrances, man. Got to check out. But a working man's fragrance, one that is just solid, goes all day, and I would check out Issey Miyake. Issey Miyake, like all of their fragrances they've got such a wide range of flankers. They're relatively inexpensive if you look around, and you get, they're cool bottles. solid fragrances that can last all day. Even their citruses, they use yuzu. Their darker fragrances, they really do have some decent darker fragrances if that's what you're looking for. But if you're going to be sweating, if you want something that just smells good, say miyake. I'll go with that one. What makes it so? Somebody, there's a council where I got, and they decided they said, you know what, we're going to do this one masculine and this one not. It really just comes down to the labeling, and there's certain notes. Usually there are certain aromatic notes, deeper, richer in their mind. Mixed. There were just certain notes that are associated with men. The easiest way to put that. House of Roja, where I don't actually have a whole lot, so I am going to go with. I'll just go with Elysium because that just is the one that I ended up buying the full bottle of, and I really do like. But your son's enlisting in the military with hope for special forces. Well, yeah, I mean, Tony, there's tons of YouTube videos. It's all going to be about mindset for him, and I would think. I mean, special forces, they always need new young recruits. So it's not like it's very, very achievable, but it's probably going to be basic mindset stuff. So study the Stoics. That would be my philosophy, and learn to embrace. They really talk in Stoicism about embracing difficulty, embracing life as it is, and I think that type of mental toughness is really what is missing in a lot of the young guys. Most of the young guys trying out physically, they're specimens. They've got that stuff nailed. They just don't have the mental toughness. Does musk? It can, but it depends on the type of musk. But there's a lot of musk in women's perfumes. So again, most fragrances are unisex. What's the law? Man, you guys have a lot of perfume questions. Am I going live to my perfume channel? No, I'm just live to my regular channel. So the longest lasting, Mark Gerber's Air Tiger. That thing is nuclear. You're not going to find it. You got to search for it. It's called Air Tiger, Mark Gerber, and he's another YouTuber. I swear, he sent me a bottle of this stuff, and I did a video with Mark, cool guy. But that stuff lasts like 3 days. And in fact, the jacket that it's on, I still can't get it off, and it's been a month. So be careful what you ask for, Sid. That's right. I did create a video on this. I've pretty much created a video on everything, right? All right, guys, I'm going to step out. Got to do a little bit more prep. But if you are watching this, checking this out, make sure to let us know where you're at. Love hearing it, seeing all the countries represent each other. And yeah, finding blazers for casual looks. Any suggestion? Thrift stores. If you don't have money, if you got money, go to the best menswear store in your town. Will there be a military style video? Maybe. What do you want to see? K1, do you want to see capes? I know some people, I've got a cape video lined up at some point. Do I want to visit Pakistan? Are you crazy? Of course I want to visit Pakistan. You need to get up there. Yeah, go to Islamabad, hang out. It'd be cool, right? Greg, appreciate it. You have a great new year as well. You didn't have to do a super chat, but I appreciate that. As you guys know, super chats want to give Greg, a big thumbs up, but and Greg's been a big supporter of the channel for a long time. Coins, by the way, I have sent out over the last, month. I think I've sent out probably 200 coins. Now, a lot of these are with the guys that have grabbed my mission fragrances. They get coins automatically. If there's a special edition coin they get, but which, by the way, if you haven't seen, where's the banner? You need to get that thing up, right? Get the mission fragrances. Is this the right banner? I'm not sure. Focus blocks. So today we got a really cool deal, I think. So if you guys want to see a really good deal, go over to missionfragrances.com/live. Is that the one? I'll have to double check that link. I'm going to pull up that link myself. Mission Fragrances.com live. Oh yeah, got a really good deal for you guys. We'll be talking about this throughout. Where can I put this? I gotta add my own comment in here. There it is. So I put the link in there and you guys can check it out. You're going to be able to get a year's access to focus blocks. If you were to grab Mission Fragrances in the next couple hours, I'll leave this up for probably 24 hours. We'll make this deal available for 24 hours. But if you go over and grab the Mission Fragrance focus block, and let me go ahead and share this right there. Yeah. So this right here, focus blocks, we'll be talking about what this is. It's a program my friend Manny Vaya runs, and that allows you to get into a live Zoom call with other people that want to stay focused, and you'll get a year access to this. What I love about this, Monday through Friday, for like I think it's 8 to 12 hours a day, there are these focus blocks available. And this is a 1 hour period that you sign up for, you show up, and you're able to just simply run a sprint for 50 minutes with other people around you. And it's all about holding yourself accountable, because I know a lot of you guys know what you need to do, but you just need discipline to do it. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really good value. So if you guys haven't gone over and seen, now what I've done is the Mission Fragrance deal in of itself, just simply getting the set is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. These are beautiful fragrances that come in an amazing package. And everyone, if you go to the website, I mean, people are just loving this stuff. They're raving about it. And they come with a full-on course, awesome customer support, which you just don't see that from a lot of other fragrance companies. They sell you something and good luck. For me, I literally have a 5-week course that you go through. You can get it done actually in probably 5 hours if you actually just sat down and did it. But I do actually try to break it up over a period of time so that you can go to some live training, so that you can be able to ask questions, all this other stuff like that. That being said, it's a course you can go at your own speed. But I set this up so that you can better understand notes, so that you can better understand how to condition yourself to be able to wear and use this fragrance. And we're going to be constantly improving this. But yeah, that usually I sell, by the way, at $2.99, and that's off the retail price. I've got a $4.99. So right now we've got a special deal with that. But today we're throwing in focus blocks, and that's because of my special guest Manny Vaya. So I'll be paying him to give you guys access to Mission, or to his business focus blocks. If it's confusing at all, let me know. I'll make sure to clarify it. But cool. I don't even know what you're talking about, Todd. So let me see. Buenos dias, Calabar. Thank you very much. Let me see, what do we got here? Gideon, what's the best fragrance for the winter? Oh, you gotta, come on, Gideon, you gotta watch the video, man. Just put that out. And who else do we have out there? Love your content from India. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And hey, Will, good to see you out there. And let's see. Trying to go through, see. Yeah, Talhan, I don't even know where your question's at, man. You know, it's like I feel like, what is it? Is it Thanos? Whenever, actually, if whenever the witch, what's her name, Scarlett Johansson's all upset with him, he's like, I don't even know who you are. Like, Tan, I don't even know what your question is, man. Like, why you get upset? You'd answer it. I can't even find it. But what was it? Is anyone familiar with Street Fighter, the movie? You remember when General Bison, he's got, was it Kung Lee or something? She's all upset with him and telling him like, "Yeah, you destroyed my village, and we will never forget." He's like his greatest one of the greatest quotes ever. He's just like, "For you, when I graced your village with my presence, it was one of the greatest moments ever. But for me, it was a Tuesday." All right, guys. Okay, I'll be back on. We're going to start here in about 25 minutes. All right, guys, you about ready to get started here? Let me see. I like this montage. Good to see my girls. Good to see my daughter Lana. She's hanging out in the back over there. She was cooking. Need to get, I guess, a little bit more B-roll. Add to it. So you can see I am still using not Windows. What was that? I wasn't using Windows 7 a while back. Some of you guys were giving me crap about that. I just, you know how it is. Don't want to upgrade because I don't want to deal with all the chaos that goes with that. But no, it's great to see you all, and thanks for joining me today. Today's session is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to. I do have Manny Vaya that should be joining me here soon, but one of the things I want to cover and what we're going to be talking about here is planning out your 2022, and a big part of that is helping you achieve what you want to achieve this year. And there's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of things that I know you want to get done, but you probably are like me. You look at this last year, and you're like, okay, I had some decent stuff, but I didn't get nearly done as much as I would like. And for me, this is, did I try my best? Did I put forth my utmost effort this last year to accomplish my goals, to live the life I wanted to live? And the answer is probably no. I had a number of times that I was kind of half-assing it, and that's, I'm going to forgive. I forgive myself, and you shouldn't beat yourself up. And because the thing is, if you beat yourself up, and if you there was this experiment that they did on dogs, and they would basically, and really sad experiment, but they would treat the dog bad for no reason at all, and the dog would be penalized. And this is like, I guess, when they could experiment with all types of animals, back in the 50s and 40s and stuff like that. Point being is there was no rhyme or reason. And eventually what the dog did learn is helplessness, that it can't do anything, so it might as well not try anything. And it had no ambition. It really lost all motivation. And you want to be careful about doing that to yourself, about beating up on yourself so much because you weren't able to accomplish this last year, maybe what you set out to do. Maybe you're still living with your parents. Maybe it's something that, hey, you weren't able to save up that money. You weren't able to get that job you wanted. She didn't give you the time of day. You wanted to start dating again. And, you asked 5 women out, and all of them didn't just reject you, but, smacked you in the face, punched you in the gut, and stole your money while they were at it, which I'm sure has happened to some of you guys. Now, today what we're talking about is big level planning. And I think the first thing is, I know for me, and the whole reason I'm doing this live video is I selfishly wanted to make time for myself to be able to think through, talk out loud about how I'm going to plan for this next year. So I am going to open up, it's not going to, this isn't going to appear super big on here. Let me see if I can get this to share my screen. Share screen. No, that wasn't it. Share screen. We'll share that one. Boom, there it is. So I'm starting off with a simple white pad. And I'm going to be talking about here about things that not specific things that I want to accomplish, but what are the results I really want? Because it's not that I want to accomplish necessarily going to the gym. It's just simply I want to be in better shape. So I want to make sure, and so I knew, and what does that mean? So by the way, this session is not going to be one that is super planned. This is going to be just me talking and putting some stuff out there. See, Manny is actually going to be joining me. So it's nice. Another thing, if you're going to be planning out your next year, it's nice to have a bit of accountability. So that was one of the reasons I brought Manny on. Manny, maybe give me a wave whenever you're ready. I can see it in there, but he's in the, haven't added him to the stream yet. So I'll be adding this, but really quick, you guys probably have seen, we've got a deal for you. So If you haven't seen this, guys, go over to, I've got the link for you right here, missionfragrances.com/live. And during this live broadcast and for a few hours afterwards, I'm going to make it available so that you can grab my Mission Fragrance sets, make them your Mission Fragrance sets. And with that, also get 1 year access to Focus Blocks. I'll bring on Manny here in a second. Manny, you are with us. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up? I
Good
feel like my
morning.
virtual
It is
background
early
might be
there
a
in
little,
California,
yeah, 6:05.
6:05. Hey, so I was going to talk really quick about, the offer that we have today as people are planning out their new year. One of the things I have is my Mission Fragrance set, honor, courage, commitment, the idea that you could wear these fragrances. In fact, since I am not wearing a fragrance, which one am I going to go with? I am going to go with honor. I like this one. It's a great morning fragrance, soft. Going to have a bit of bergamot at the top, musk down on the base. This is going to be one, and I usually put it right under the shirt. Give myself a few sprays. Yeah, nice, clean, crisp. Maybe a little bit on the each wrist as well. And I love. So again, why am I wearing this? What am I putting this on? Because I'm going to honor myself today, and I am going to reinforce that action by spending almost the next 2 hours with you, Manny, being pretty open, being pretty transparent about what do I want to accomplish this next year. Hopefully you guys out there in the audience, you're able to maybe grab a pen and paper. You're able to start kind of planning out what you want to do for this next year as well. But that's me wearing honor. And with this, by the way, if they were to grab our Mission Fragrance set, we're giving them a year access to Focus Blocks. And this is a project that you had started last year. And it is really blown up for you this year. That's right. Yeah. It's still 2021. And yeah, and that project is really blown up for you. You've got now a few hundred members, and that's where they get access to a Zoom chat in which you've got, what are the hours on that thing? Do you remember?
So yeah, it's 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So every hour on the hour. And just to give people a frame of reference, like, today we're talking about goal achievements and, achieving your goals. There's this New Year fallacy out there, Antonio, that we, sometimes people fall into. And what they do is they'll set the goal for the year. And then a month down the line, 2 months down the line, the goal is set, but nothing's happening. And before you know it, they've given up on it. What's up, John? And people give up on goals way too easy, way before, way before they even try it for an elongated period of time, because they're not keeping up with their promises, and they're just like, not this year, maybe another year, maybe later. And the reason for that is because we just can't get ourselves to do the work that we know we need to do. So Focus Blocks is the tool that helps you get the work done that you know you need to do, to sit down and do the work. And I can go into all the details of what are the different, how it actually works, but it really is that simple. It makes hard work effortless. It makes hard work easy to do. All you need to do is show up for a block. And as I said, it's 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and 12 hours a day on the weekends. Just makes it super easy for you to accomplish your goals, rather than just hope that with a prayer and a hope you'll be able to do it. And whenever you want, like, we can talk more about how it works and all those things.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a second. And by the way, John Soma has just joined us over at Bulldog Mindset. And a lot of you guys out there, you're probably familiar with his channel and what he talks about. So you can feel free to give him a question or give him a quick shout out in the comments if you want to. But Manny, one thing I want to stress about your Focus Blocks is that they do work. And if, I find that just showing up to 1 or 2 a month more than pays for itself. And I am a paid member, so I pay you $33 a month right now. I do think you need to increase your price. That being said, it is something that, again, with the Mission Fragrance set, the deal that I've got going for you guys, and we're going to get into planning our year here in a few minutes. But I wanted you guys to know that, hey, you can grab my Mission fragrance set, these 3 beautiful fragrances, the packaging with a course as well, in addition to a year access to Focus Blocks, which by itself costs, if you were to pay $33 a month, that's almost $400 a year that you're going to be able to get if you grab a Mission fragrance set today. So we've set that up for you guys. Wanted to give you, some motivation, some action that you can take to set yourself up for this next year. And real quick, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out. I'm going to hide and let us talk together. We haven't seen each other for a while as a group. John, you're in Florida, right?
I'm in San Diego right now, actually.
Oh my goodness! So you're up at 6 a.m. too.
Yes. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, I know you don't even sleep, man, right?
True. I actually did not sleep the night before last night. It was a bad choice. But
I like how you call it a bad choice, because you did make that decision. Why do you say it's a bad choice? Like, was it a party, or what was going on that you weren't up all night?
No, I was actually just I was working, and then I was reading, and then I had a coaching call at like 6 a.m. So I was like, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. And so I was like, I don't want to sleep for like 2 or 3 hours. So I just stayed up, and then, gosh, man, when you've stayed up already for over 24 hours, the day is miserable.
Not the ideal.
Yeah,
not ideal. But I still I always like the wording that you guys use. You're pretty particular about what you say, and you're right. It is a choice. Although like this morning, I woke up a little bit early, about 3:30, and I couldn't fall back asleep. I was actually excited to come in here and plan my day, and I don't feel that was as much of a choice, because I did try to lay down, tried to calm myself with breathing, but I couldn't fall back asleep. So it's interesting. Sometimes there are choices in life, and you make them. Other times, it's out of your control. It seems you just have woken up. You're excited about something, but today, really where I want to keep it focused is planning for the next year. And I had started the session a bit by trying to take a step back. One thing, when I'm thinking, I was doing an exercise yesterday on planning for the year, and I'm trying to think, who do I want to identify as this year? And I know that's kind of a fun word that depending on, what circles you follow, it's like, well, you can identify as anything, I guess, nowadays. But, the way I mean it is, I want to identify as somebody that is a successful business owner, living a life that he can spend the time he chooses with his family, and that I have a more sustainable, like we took a few income hits over the last couple of years, obviously with COVID, advertising for all types of men's lifestyle products shot down. So I saw our website revenue is half of what it used to be with our ads on that. We saw a lot of our advertisers disappear over the last couple of years. So it is something that I find, my views on my channel have not been as good as I would like. So I'm trying to think of, how do you go about, when there's so many things in your mind, planning out and even starting your planning process?
Well, I would, because one of the things I think about and is maybe taking it even one step further out to get clarity on whatever it is for you, what the vision is. If it's, because right now you're thinking a quarter, 2 quarters, or a year, but if you extrapolate it out a little further, who is that person, or what is that vision that you want to create, and hoping to, or using that as a way to come back to today to guide that. So in entrepreneurship, we can, or in life, we can approach anything in 2 different ways. We can approach it from where we are today, or from the vision. What I mean by that is, we can either think of, okay, this is where I am today, and I need to take these steps given my current circumstances, right? So that's thinking from the present moment. But the other way around is to have a clear vision for where you want to be, let's say 5 years from now, and then working backwards from that vision and saying, this is what I need to do now in order to achieve that vision. And those two will yield completely different results, because when we go from where we are and we're looking at our current circumstances and current conditions, we are defining ourselves by where we are right now, and we take completely different actions compare or we set ourselves up completely differently compared to when we have a clear vision or clear outcome further out in time, and then we work backwards from that to identify what is it that I need to do now to achieve that vision. It's like working from the end versus working from the present moment. And Gerber talks about it in E-Myth quite a bit, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a whole video on this topic. So
And the book he's referring to, and we've got, we've got a good sized audience out there, and the book he's referring to, man, he's talking about is the E-Myth Revisited, and it's for business minds. But really, this is something that Gerber took from tons of philosophies out there of self-improvement. And the idea is that start with that end, go to where you want to be versus where you're at. If you really want to be able to get closer to achieving your goals. So if you're out there and you're putting something in the comments, maybe start to think about, what does that vision look like of where you want to go? So is that what you would recommend for me, that I start putting together a vision of the man I want to be this time next year?
Or even further out, because
further out.
Because if you're taking short-term vision into account, we will take actions according to that. But if
you're saying 1 year is short term.
Yeah, 1 year is still short term in the scheme of life, right? Because in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey is talking about begin with the end in mind all the way to your deathbed. And who do you want to be remembered as, right? And who do you want, what goes on your epilogue, what goes on your tombstone is what he starts you with, right? So even a year is short term when we think in the perspective of life, but whatever that is for you, a year, 2 years, 5 years, like envisioning what it is that you want to envision and working backwards from that rather than working forward from where we are today. That's like a super critical, it's a very nuanced difference, like, because it's not easy to think like, okay, what would happen? But as soon as you start, like for people out there who are listening, as soon as you start differentiating, like as soon as you get a little more clarity on this is the kind of business I'm building, things, what I need to do today will be different compared to what if the vision was only for a year.
Now, what about for the non-business people? Like, how does this apply to, you got guys out there that are 22, some guys that, they're still in high school. Maybe you got someone that's 75. It's like, okay, like, how does this apply to me if I'm an outlier here?
It's still beginning with the end in mind, right? To start with, what is the end vision I want to create, whatever it is for yourself, and however far out in future you want to go. But the further out in future you could go and create the vision, the easier or the better your actions will be to realize that vision. Whatever that vision is for you, it doesn't matter. Like, I get it. Like, we are all business owners here, you, me, John, and we think more about the business sometimes than we think about our own selves. But whatever it is that vision is for your own life, work backwards from that vision rather than work forwards from your current reality, if I could summarize it in one word or in one sentence.
So how does somebody create this vision? Let's say, again, we're like, take me back to scratch. Let's talk. So we're talking about creating a vision of where you want to be. We're going to look a little bit longer term. Let's say, 5 years?
5 years is a good time, yeah.
5 years, okay. And I know part of the psychology with that is 5 years is also far enough out that, it seems realistic, something maybe bigger, something that it's like, okay, maybe I can't achieve that in a year, but in 5 years, you can dream a little bit larger. I think that's one of the reasons that the 5-year goal is really useful. But specifically, what questions do you find useful for somebody to be asking of themselves or with that vision?
Yeah, that's actually a tougher one than we realize, because it's, we overestimate what we can do in a year and we underestimate what we can do in a decade, because by the time the 5 years mark starts to hit you, the compounding effect takes over and you start to hit way more, or 5, 7, 10-year mark, like the compound effect takes over, and you're going to be able to accomplish so much more than you actually anticipated, as long as you stay on the path or on the course. So we can start off with defining what is it that we want our life to look like. Like, so here is where, like, we're not talking goals, but we're casting a vision, as the guy, what's his name in the Wolf of Wall Street, um, Jordan Belfort, he talked about that in his book, and I kind of like that a lot. He said you have to start with casting a vision, not so much with a quote unquote goal, but what is the vision? You take yourself 5 years out into life, and what's the vision you see of yourself, of the kinds of things you're working on, of the kind of life you're living, who are you with, what kind of things are you doing in your life? Like, all of those things, you start to cast a vision of your life. And from that, you can start to work backwards to, or you can start to create quote unquote goals and things like that.
So, John, have you started planning out for next year? Do you have a vision, maybe 5 years out, or?
I haven't really started for next year yet. I mean, I have some ideas. I've sort of been trying to organize pieces of information, but yeah, I don't actually have a 5-year out at this point either.
Sounds like we have something to work on then today.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of time. That's like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm envisioning for myself 5 years out is very personal. You know, it's I want to. My wife is. We're expecting our 5th child in March, and so
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Congratulations! Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a 17-year-old. So
I know.
He's. We decided, it's like, let's have another kid, make us feel young. I think that's what older parents start to think. It's like, I've learned everything I can teach, but so I'm going to have my 4th girl. I'm thinking, I want to be that dad that is present, and to a good extent, I have been. I've really set up my business so it kind of revolves around my life, but I do work a lot. Make no mistake, it's something I'm still putting in probably 60 hours a week, although because I don't have to commute, it's a less harsh, but I do find, and I count the time that I'm at the house that I'm on my computer, because that should be counted in small things. I'm just trying to think, taking this very general vision and trying to put it on paper, or at least to write it out. And how do I want this guy to look? I want to be present, and I'm actually typing stuff out as we're talking here. I want, but is that too? Do you think with these visions you need to be really specific, or do
No,
you feel
you're casting a vision. So go where your mind is taking you. Go where your heart is taking you, and then you can kind of clarify it down as it evolves. Because there's in any planning process, like there's something we do every week. Like, partly it is to let your mind wander, let your mind go, and then the second part of it is to kind of find the few that really matter. So one is brainstorming, and then the other one is clarifying.
So it seems like I've got 3 P's that have popped up. I want to be present, I want to be a provider, and I want to be passionate about my work. Now, I already said present, and that one, just being able to choose to be. I love my work, or I love my work most of the time. What I don't like is when I have to do things and I've got to make a decision of, okay, am I going to spend time with my family, or am I going to stay at the office late and work? And I need to work to get ahead. That's when I start to, as much as it may shock some people watching this channel, it's like it gets old making videos. Not only we put out 4 videos a week on this channel, I've got a fragrance channel that we put out 4 videos a week on. So there's a lot of stuff out there. But I want to be able to have, I think, more of the I'm going to actually adjust the word, the power to be present. The power to be present. And for a provider, I think that's a softer word that basically just means I've got the ability to pay for things. Like, money for me is just and I think a lot of people watching, it's freedom. It's the ability that, hey, if someone in my family needs $5,000 because they're somebody passed away, that's not even necessarily related to me. It's my wife's brother or my wife's what was it? No, it was my brother's wife had someone in her family pass away, and we're able to, they're in dire straits, and it's like I really it's a nice feeling when you can make a monetary donation that makes a big difference in somebody else's life, uh, and you don't need that back. So I really enjoy being a provider. Um, and I want to make sure I've always got the funds set aside to be able to do that. And I don't find all of a sudden I'm living in a living in a multi-million dollar house, but I can't afford the the rent, or it's like, or you're eating top ramen because you have to pay that mortgage. I don't want to ever be in that position. So I think I've purposely always lived really below my means since I went through a bankruptcy, actually, just over a decade ago. That really kind of puts you on the straight and narrow path. I want to be passionate again about my work. At times I do feel it gets monotonous doing the same thing again and again. So I want to be able to experiment. Um, John, we're talking here. You have any visions of what you're going to look like 5 years from now, or what you want that guy to look like?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's so tough for me, I think, right now to look that far into the future. But I do know, like, as some of the things you're saying, like, I want to be able to work on projects again, like focus. I feel like right now I'm kind of just in the hamster wheel of the business, just keeping things running. But I haven't set aside like a focus for specific things, like to create again, right? It's just getting the videos done every week, like handling the emails, all this stuff. But there hasn't been any, working on a brand new project, like maybe writing a new book or creating a course or something like that, or running ads, like delving into something. My focus has been split. So really, I guess the things I can see is to have focus and to have it so that instead of like worrying about the minutia, that I'm like start being more project based again, because I feel like I was much more successful when I was doing that, and then it was a lot more enjoyable too. So, but I don't know, like, where, as far as business, like what the direction that I want to be in 5 years as far as the actual business with Bulldog Mindset. Um, I have to think about that a little bit and I don't know. I don't know if I really want to commit to anything at this point that far out. I think that's the thing I'm having struggles with as far as the 5 year thing is. I don't know what I actually want to do in 5 years.
Do you know what I know for me, I know what I don't want to be doing in 5 years.
Yeah.
That seems sometimes to be easier to identify. I'm thinking 5 years out with Real Men and Real Style. I don't want to be, I don't want the business to be still dependent on me. That's one of the things I don't like about the company is if I were to disappear, if something were to happen to Antonio, then this channel would eventually disappear because I'm still in the majority of the videos and I'm still running the company day to day. We're not at a point where I could have an independent manager come in, and I know it's very doable. I feel I've talked about this, and I think the frustration, I talked about this at the very beginning of this video before John or even Manny, you guys got on. One of the frustrations is past failures, and you start telling yourself, well, I was resolving 2 years ago to systemize myself out of my business, and yet I haven't done it. So is that proof that I can't do this and I'm destined to fail? how do you get that kind of talk out of your head, Manny? Like when you feel like you're almost going back to resolutions that, or going back to goals or visions of yourself that you actually had that vision a while back. So you're at least consistent in the vision, but but you know that you failed. You haven't really made much progress towards that vision, that goal.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar. We talked about this in our coaching back in the day, in our accountability coaching back in the day. This was part of the conversation. That was something you wanted to accomplish, and um, and the question is like, how important is it to you, right? Um, not so much whether you fail on the path, but how important is it to you, right? The why is a crucial component of this question, not the how, because the how will be figured out. If the why, if there's a big enough reason, if you are going to drive yourself, you will figure it out. Millions of people have figured it out. There's so many guys who actually will show you the path. Tons of, whether we talk Built to Sell by John Warlow, like he has his own consulting company, or Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, they have their own consulting arm for this, or Scalable by Ryan Dice, another consulting business. Like they teach this framework, right? These frameworks, and you could possibly join any of those businesses or join any of their programs and continue to figure this out. It, of course, it's not happened today, and it feels like, damn, when will it happen? But I feel like when the reason is big enough, you find the answers. And this is something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And I would love to hear you guys' comments or thoughts on this. The idea that in life, most of our progress is incremental. Most of our progress is only incremental until a certain set of conditions are met. And that's when we go into what's a quantum leap environment. And that's when we make progress beyond, like we'll make a year's worth of we'll make 5 years of progress in 3 months or in 6 months, because we enter this quantum leap environment. And what I mean by that is when the conditions are set, there are such demanding conditions where you have to figure it out, where there is no way out, that's when you take the quantum leap. Until then, things just kind of trudge along, and it's
You feel that
incremental
there's other
progress.
parts to that, Manny? Like not just the demand needs to be there, but also you need to have the resources and the materials to. You don't feel like you need to have
No.
that.
So that's the part, like I have been really, like I've been studying, I've studied so much on in the field of business and personal development. And one of the things that finally, like it all clicked to me when I was reading Will Durant, and he said, man is not the product. There's nothing like a great man or a great woman. That concept doesn't exist. Yeah, we like to glorify people, and we like to say that, oh, that person is so great because they figured this out or that out. It's
And you're
more like
talking Will and Ariel Durant, the historians, correct?
the great historians, right?
Yeah.
They're some of the greatest historians ever. They studied history for 40 years. And through that
I love
study,
their stuff. They're
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
through that study, what Durant found out, and this was like, because I've been on this search to understand what makes people successful. Like all of my life, I feel like I've been trying to figure this out. And I thought the answer was personal development. The answer was in personal effectiveness tools and like mindset and habits and routines and rituals and all of those things. Yes, those will give you incremental progress. They will make you better. But when you and the real thing that makes things happen is when you put yourself in a very demanding situation and you have no way out. So now there are only two ways that will happen. Either life puts you there, or you willingly design this and put yourself in it. Now, the demanding situation can be in different ways, what I call quantum leap environment. But truly, it doesn't matter what resources you have, what capabilities you have at that point. All that matters is you put yourself in that environment. John, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's like burning the boats, right? Like in this, because I agree. And when I look at like the quantum leaps that I've had in my life, they've always been in those kind of situations. But I think something maybe that you could look at doing, Antonio, is figuring out how can you burn the boats in this case and make it so that you must accomplish this goal, right? So speaking about what Manny was saying, and I was thinking the same thing actually, is that maybe you set a day on your calendar, and you're on that day, that's your last day. Like you're not coming in. You're not going to do the work. Like in fact, maybe you go on a trip somewhere and you're not going to take your laptop or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
that's actually probably
Yeah.
a little bit softer, but and more enjoyable. And I've done this in the past. I remember I left the country for 6 months,
Yeah.
and it was, hey, like, I mean, I did actually do some filming out there, and I was just like, find a studio here, find a studio there. But for the majority of the time, it was like we had to be far enough ahead on content, and it was something I was just, I was traveling, I was out for 6 months, and we would find a way. But I wanted to be able to do that with my family. But that's actually one of the things I'll be doing as I plan this year is I want to schedule time that it's in my calendar that I'll be taking trips and that I've committed to my family. Now with a new baby, it's not something we can take. The trips have to be a little bit different now. But I went to Austin, Texas with my son a couple months ago for the F1, and that was a lot of fun. But it was just me and him, and it was just kind of a boys trip. And those are the kind of things I do want to plan more this year, because I won't be able to take maybe my entire family. And with a family of 7, it does become a little bit more of a logistics issue, scheduling people, getting people's schedules. But being able to take individual trips with my daughters, being able to take, one daughter, and it could be something, a day trip just to, I don't know, to Minnesota or, over to Chicago for maybe even just one night and just check out the city and stuff like that.
So I'll add to that condition, right? What we were talking about to kind of make this a little more compelling. Because if you look back at your life, Antonio, you will see that most of your life has been incremental progress, except for times when you entered the quantum leap. And when you entered the situation where the situation demanded so much of you that you had to figure it out. And when I say the demands, it has to have some sort of external pressure.
Yeah.
External demand, not just internal demand. Internal is not enough. Internal is never enough. It has to be external. So something where your reputation is on the line, you are on the line, you have social commitment, social call, like you have put it out there, like, dude, by this date, RMRS will have Antonio only 20% of the time, or only 10% of the time, or only 0% of the time, whatever it is. And you made that a stated goal and let the whole RMRS community know, like the world knows about this. And when the world knows about your goal, now you have truly committed to the cause, because now there's not much way out about it, because now you're like, hey, I have to save my face to do this. So what I'm trying to kind of explain are the different conditions that are required to make your quantum leap environment work. If you look back at your life, the time when you made great progress, maybe it was because of the bankruptcy, maybe because something happened in the family that triggered you to make that quantum leap, that forced you to figure out the quantum leap, right? Most of the times by ourselves, our progress is incremental.
Yeah, it's got to be something that you can't ignore, that
You can't get out of.
Yeah, it's like
Binding.
a lot of people try to lose weight, right, for years and years and years. When they finally are able to succeed in losing weight, when they break up, when they have a breakup, because there's an external demand now that forces them. They couldn't do it. They couldn't stay on diet programs. They couldn't get the discipline, but now they have to, because they're alone. They have to go and do that. But I think something to that level of degree where it's like you must now do this. It's kind of like sink or swim. It's like if you're thrown in the water, you have to swim. You don't have a choice. So how can you put yourself in a bind where like there's no option? Like if you can't do this, that there's dire consequences for it.
There have to be externally visible consequences. Like, yes, sometimes, things for which you feel pressured. Without pressure, it's not going to happen. Without pressure, things are incremental. Without external pressure, without that, man, I have to do it no matter what. Like when Tony Robbins says to change your life, you have to change your standards. Easy for him to say, but one of the hardest things to do, because when we're trying to just sit in our own garage and try to change our standards, it's so hard. We get stuck back into the same incremental mindset, right? So change your standards actually only happens when there are big external consequences.
Yeah, we're too comfortable a lot of the time, especially us, running businesses and kind of, living the good life. And sometimes I've also thought about, like, I've kind of fantasized about, like, what if, I know, Manny, you've talked about the same exact thing. It's like, what if, like, I didn't have any, like, I lost everything and then I had to start over? Like that would kind of, in some way, in some sick way, you're like, that would be exciting.
Yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
actually
Because
is. It is actually
you
a
would, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because you would know you would have to succeed, like all this stuff that you know you need to do, you would start doing it because you have to. You know what I mean? You have this idea that you could start over, like, because that pressure would be there. But sometimes I think we get into these spots where we don't have that pressure, where it's kind of coming easy. The money's just coming in. We're just maintaining the thing. That I know that's the complacency that I've been in, where I don't have any kind of thing that's lighting a fire under my ass or kicking my ass. Like when I first became successful and really, hit, like, actually I muted myself. When I first hit, millionaire status, it was during a time when I was like, it was like do or die for me, because I was working a regular job and then I was running, like, recording all these courses, and it was like, this is my chance to strike while the iron's hot. Like, I have to take this chance. And so it was like, it was lighting a fire under me that was making me go and do all these things. And then once I got to a period of time where I had income coming in, I didn't have to work a job, I hit complacency. So
Yeah, Antonio, I would love to hear, like, if you go back and look at your life and you see the quantum leaps that happened, not the regular, like, incremental growth, but quantum leap, there were conditions that were
Yeah.
forcing you to make it happen.
Yeah, they were very harsh conditions. The
Mhm.
fact that, hey, I had to figure out how to make money. I had to figure out something that would grow. And you go through a failure. I think the scary thing for a lot of people is, as John was saying, and I had already written this down, that you start to get comfortable. And here's the thing: is, like, it's no longer just you either. And this is where you've got to kind of balance it out, because when you have kids and you have a wife that likes a bit of comfortable and already went through an uncomfortable period of not being able to, we call it the curtains story. And I remember for 3 years, I was promising my wife that I would give her some money to buy curtains for the house. And we didn't. We basically had, I wasn't paying myself a salary. I'm just there working. This is back, 2000, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. And, just doing all this work. The first business failed. It was called A Tailored Suit. It was an online custom clothier. And, there were, it was me and my wife packaging up suits, sending them out. She was doing, she was the tailor doing some of the alterations and things like that. And yeah, it was tough. Not being, having, I remember, like, 1 month we just couldn't pay rent. You're not eating much meat, which I'm sure, Manny, is good for you. But yeah, it's like, but
Being vegan
Manny,
is expensive, man.
it is, and now eating anything is expensive, so you constantly, and I think the hardest part that, John has said it, is you don't want to rock the existing ship. Like,
exactly.
You're like, this thing is already, doing well. And if you were to talk to the average logical person, wait a minute, you want to blow up this thing that's paying you a few $100,000? at the bottom, like your salary, so that you can potentially get something that's bigger. Oh, but there's a really good chance you'll fail too, because that's the thing. Even if you do put yourself in that situation, that that uncomfortable situation, it could take it could take years to break out of that. It could take, and you could fail too. I mean, there is always the likelihood that you actually have a heart attack and you die, and you don't get yourself out of that situation. I guess that's why insurance is a good thing. So,
I was say you're talking about the classic scenario, which I myself am in as well, because both of us are doing the same thing, Antonio. We have one foot in the boat and we have one foot on the dock.
Yep.
And we don't want to get in the boat because the dock is paying us, right? And it's like, so, but we both know that unless we get in the boat, we're not going anywhere. So
yeah, not going to go anywhere new. Do something. Yeah, because you have ambitions. A lot of people following this channel, they'd probably be surprised. It's like I didn't set out to be a YouTuber or to have this influence in the men's style space that we actually have. It was just something kind of fell into. And all of a sudden we found that, hey, there's a need here, started creating content and putting stuff out. And I think that is the goal is, hey, to find other people that can carry on. I look at companies like GQ and Esquire. I mean, you don't know I don't think anyone really, you guys don't know. And I know very few people probably in the comments know who the founders of those companies were. And the idea is for RMRS to kind of become its own brand that still holds true to the core values. But because getting back to it, we all know that we got an expiration date. I'm out of this business one way or another, eventually. Can't stop that.
Success traps you. It does. It creates a prison for you. It is, but the fundamental root of it is that it's fear of loss, right? The more you have, the more you have to lose.
It's fine.
That's the thing that it comes down to. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. So let me ask you this question, Antonio. So let's imagine that you live in a world where RMRS doesn't exist anymore for whatever reason. You sold the company. It just, YouTube banned your channel. It's done. It's done. What do you do? Like what would you want to do if you didn't have any responsibilities with RMRS?
I definitely would go off and start another company. I've got a short list of all these other things that we want to do or business ideas. I mean, it's funny, you actually got me into crypto a while back. Yeah. So that's been something I've wanted to step into more. I have an MBA. I never found finance that interesting, but I do. But one of the reasons I like, DeFi and stuff like that is because I think it throws a middle finger up to traditional financing and stuff. And I really like the underdog role that it's playing right now. Obviously, it's something that you can be rewarded very well if you know what you're doing. And it does. I love the idea of being part of something in the future. One of the things I used to love about YouTube is nobody really knew what YouTube was. This is back, 2011, spending a lot of time on YouTube. It wasn't. Nowadays, here 10 years later, it's it's like I'm popular at my kids' high school because they know their dads. Oh yeah, they know you're a YouTuber with a couple million subs, so it gives me clout with high school kids. But and I guess that's kind of fun sometimes. But I almost want to go into something that is wild west again. I feel that YouTube has become a bit too tame. TikTok, I looked at it, just not my thing. And it seems like it's the same thing. What I noticed is that when people get successful on TikTok, they go to YouTube. It's like, okay, so I'm already at the place where the grown-up TikTokers want to be. And as it's fun to get a little bit of fame for people to recognize you and stuff. That's not what I sought after. I like the idea of creating something. And that's where this, the sponsor actually of today's video, where I've been having fun with the Mission Fragrance brand, is building something and putting something out there that disrupts the industry a bit. And that's where this actually was very enjoyable over the last 2 years, developing this product, the Mission, because you haven't worn it yet. I know it's delivered out there to Florida.
Yeah.
But the whole idea with our Mission fragrance set was that you could wear fragrances and they would enhance your mood. They would make you feel a certain way. And I know some people wear fragrances all the time, but they don't think about it in that way, that it can make you feel more confident, that it could actually help you at work to feel more confident, that it can make you feel more courageous, more honorable, more committed. So that was kind of the goal with the Mission fragrance set, is to get men to wear fragrance for kind of a new reason, to hit a blue ocean there. So for me, anything I'm going to do, I really want it to be in a disruption phase. I want it to be something that is going to go in, and with that is the chance of failure, probably higher than normal, versus if you already get into an industry that's well established, and like, let's say academics, it's like, okay, I could probably go back to the University of Texas. I have a lot of friends there at the university. If I wanted to go down a business professor, I'd have to get my PhD and all that stupid. Like, you have to check their boxes. But and I always thought it would be cool to be a teacher or be a professor or something like that. But yeah, having to live that life within their boundaries, no, that's what turns it off.
But you could still like set a timeline and a deadline for yourself to make your channel or make RMRS independent of you in some way, shape, or form, whatever the criteria is, in a publicly known deadline, which kind of forces that accountability on you and doesn't break open your business, doesn't blow up your business. It's just like, hey, I will, like, by this date, RMRS will be a platform independent of Antonio, and you will only see me on 20% of the videos. That might be step one in your journey. But once you proclaim it, and once you proclaim it to the world, or once you proclaim it to RMRS, that starts the conditions in motion to say, damn, I've told the entire world about it. I might as well do it now.
The hardest thing, I think, is to actually commit, and actually commit, which means that you yourself truly believe that you're going to do this, that this is the only way that this is going to happen. Because, and I found this lately with a lot of decisions that I've been trying to make, is that I'm convincing myself I've committed, but I don't really actually see that as the future or reality. And so it's a very challenging thing, I think, to get your brain, because we'll lie to ourselves and we're like, yeah, okay, we'll even put a date on the calendar and say we're going to do it. But there's this little subconscious part of our brain that knows, no, you're not going to actually, like, you'll try to do it. And if you do it by that date, great. But if you don't, it's okay. Like, and that's the part that's killing us, because it needs to be like, no, this is going to happen 100%. Like, there's no other alternative. This is the thing. And it's like, how do you get yourself to actually believe that? You could tell yourself that, but you have to figure out some kind of set of external circumstances. I think, like Manny was saying, maybe announcing it publicly is enough for you. Maybe it's not. For some people, it's not going to matter, because they know that, they can just go on their live stream later and say, actually changed the plans. I changed my mind. So it's like, what is it going to take for you internally to say, no, this is absolutely going to happen. There's no way this is not going to happen, and actually commit to it, because it's a challenge. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, making it a must and figuring out ways to make it a must is the step one in that direction. Maybe telling your mastermind members, people who you associate with on a daily basis, that group of 10 people, and say, all right, guys, this is my timeline. This is my deadline. I'm doing it, and telling the world about it, and telling as many people. I call this the sunshine principle. The more sunshine you throw on something, sunshine of other people's visibility, the more you grow and the more you are held accountable to that goal. So the more you tell people about it, the more you're forced to figure it out. The more, like, especially since Antonio has such public forums or such public visibility, like just putting it out there and proclaiming it again and again and again. And it's a proclamation you don't just make once, you proclaim it again and again and again and again and again and again, to the point where you're like, shit, I better do this. What Kennedy did when America, back in 1961, when he went to Rice to give the fateful speech that we will land a man on the moon and bring him back safely to Earth before the end of the decade. At that time, America did not have the computational power to even fathom the possibility of going to moon. Even the alloy, like America did not have even an alloy that could actually withstand the friction that rocket would undertake when going through atmosphere and burn out. So America didn't have any technology whatsoever to take the man to the moon. And when Kennedy asked Werner von, the chief scientist for this mission, is like, what's going to take to do it? He's like, the commitment to do it. And that's why Kennedy went out in public, made the commitment, put the Cold War on steroids, put the gauntlet out there to the world, especially to Russia, to USSR, saying, we're going to do this before you. The game is on. And now it challenged all of America to make it happen. So it wasn't a simple thing where everything was figured out and America just launched a man on the moon. It was the other way around. It was like, we don't know how we're going to do it. We're just going to have to figure the damn thing out now that I have said it to the world, and I'm going to keep saying it for the duration of my presidency. So something like this is not a one-time thing. It's going to be something that you're going to start proclaiming, and you're going to shed sunlight on it day in and day out. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. So now it's almost like when you start saying that repeatedly to the world and to your mastermind members and to the channel and to the people around you, you will find a way, because it puts you on the line. The thing is, you're not putting yourself, like, until there is something on the line, it's not happen. Whether it's your reputation on the line or money on the line, one of those. We are social animals, right? We're triggered by social acceptance or non-acceptance. So we cannot we cannot say things in public and not follow through on them repeatedly every single time, because people stop believing in us, and we know that. So that's why we're very wary of what we say in public, because we don't want to get to the point where we're like, oh shit, I say things and don't do them. So a public commitment and a big, bold proclamation and a public commitment forces a deep level of accountability that you can't do by yourself internally. That's part of the quantum leap, in the sense you find a way. Like, the more public your proclamation is, your goal is, the bigger the conditions you are creating for yourself that force you, and a public proclamation or people you're holding yourself accountable to, that becomes a part of that thing where, okay, I have told so many people I will do this, better figure this out.
So how do you go about framing this goal in a way that it is something, because you don't want to publicly proclaim something that you figure out 6 months later, like, I really don't want to be going that direction. And now I've got to take it back. I'm going to look like I didn't stick to my word. And so many times in life, we're going after something which we thought was our goal, but honestly is somebody else's goal. It's something that I didn't know how good I had it. And, I'm going down the wrong path here.
Yeah. And that's where the vision piece comes into play, right? Because if you feel like, okay, this is the direction I want to take my life, and this is the one domino, one big goal. If I knock this over, this will make that vision happen. It's now we're talking about about surety. Like, do you really want it? Is the challenge now you're running into, Antonio, right? You're like, okay, I think I could possibly go and make this proclamation, but do I really want to make this proclamation? Do I really want to put myself in such a situation? That is where your personal preferences or your personal this is where there might be some sort of an internal challenge or conflict that's holding you back from going after this right now, or saying, yeah, I want to do this, or I will do this. Maybe right now there's a part of you that's not convinced that this is the right goal for you. There is
Yeah,
some sort
yeah.
of conflict internally that's keeping you at bay on this.
It's one foot on the dock still, right? It's like you're coming up with, and we all do this, is coming up with some way, how can I sail in the boat, but how can I still keep one foot on the dock, right? It's like I find myself in that cycle all the time. It's like I know what I actually need to do is to stop trying to keep one foot on the boat, but there always has to be like, okay, well, what if I need a backup plan? I need a backup parachute. What is it? It's like, no, you just have to jump out of the plane. Like, it's not like, because until you're at that level of commitment, you're never going to get, that level of result. But there's like there's all these mental gymnastics, but there's no way to completely absolve yourself from that. You have to just fully make the choice and then accept whatever consequences come from that choice, I think. And that's the toughest thing, because I'm in the same boat. So
Yeah.
Or on the same dock.
Yeah,
halfway in
you've
the
got
boat.
you've got some big decisions going on, I know, in your life, John. And it's hey, really quick, guys, we're at the hour. I'm gonna go get a coffee. I did want to remind everybody, we've got right here, you can grab your Mission Fragrance set. We've got that link, Mission Fragrances/live, and you can get a year of focus blocks if you go to that link. This is a special deal. Dom, if you could make sure to go ahead and put that. Let me see. I'll put that. I think I can paste it in the comments. Nope, that's not the link I want. Yep, Dom put it right in there. Thank you, Dom. And you guys, this is a huge. I mean, because Manny, I'm a paying member of your, of your focus blocks, and it's $33 a month. That's almost $400 a year. And
it's $396 per year. Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
And they're getting it basically for free if they grab the Mission Fragrance set. And everyone, the reason we're doing this is we really do want you to have a great year. It's something that Manny and I talked about. He's like, I'm cool with doing this, Antonio. It's a handshake agreement. So when you guys go in there and grab it, I'll let Manny know if any of you guys did, and we'll get you guys signed up for focus blocks for a year. Again, and Manny, maybe you can talk. I'm going to just mute my camera for a second and myself. Maybe you can talk a little bit about focus blocks and what you guys are doing over there.
Well, I'm going to throw in an extra bonus for people here on behalf of Antonio, which is that you all can come co-work with Antonio in one of these blocks. Antonio will let you know when he's live on the blocks. Yeah. And anyone who joins, we will all work together on focus blocks that time.
Actually, tomorrow you've got a big session. Like if they were to join today, which again, this deal is not going to be around, but for today. So you got to, if you miss this deal, you miss it. That's why I do these live broadcasts. I like to bring you guys special deals, but you've got a full 6-hour planning session that you're doing tomorrow as well. Correct?
Right. So today we're talking about, goals, and we're talking about different aspects of goal setting. But, like my other business is 2,000 books. Some people here might know me. Some people probably don't know me. A lot of people probably don't know me. And I studied the world's greatest business and personal development books, and I've been doing that for a long time. And I summarize them on the channel and in our members area. And I have literally studied all of the great books ever written on productivity, time management, goals, achievement, execution, all of those things. And I have distilled all of that knowledge into like very specific planning and review and all of these processes. So tomorrow, Friday morning, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time, I will be doing a 6-hour marathon annual goal review and planning session. We're going to review 2021 and we're going to plan 22. And if anyone has ever been on my planning sessions, they're very structured, very precise. There is a whole process we follow, documents, timelines, like timers, like, okay, now do this, now do that. So it's like a structured workshop. Here we're just talking, about goals, and we're talking big picture. There it's like a very structured process we're going to follow for 6 hours to really clarify what is it that you want to do, and get clarity on the year past and on the year that's coming up. So it's an annual goal setting and goal getting workshop, I call it, because we'll literally create plan for how to achieve that, not just leave that in the dark, like, oh yeah, I got this goal and someday I'll hit it. It's like a literal execution planning workshop.
Well, let me go get some coffee, and you can talk a little bit more about focus blocks if you want. You should be, just I think a lot of people they're not familiar with what even the concept is.
Yep. I will actually also invite John here to talk about anything that's on your mind with regards to productivity / goal / focus blocks or anything else, because you use focus blocks, John, and instead of me saying like why it's so useful, maybe you could tell your experience for why it's useful to you. And everyone who knows Bulldog Mindset or John knows that John is already a very productive guy, very, he gets stuff done. So maybe John, you
Yeah.
can start.
Yeah, no, I think that, I mean, it's funny because I was just talking to one of my coaching clients last night, and he was struggling with productivity. And he was like, his issue was that he was telling me that his biggest problem is distractions, right? Is that his phone, Instagram, that YouTube, right? All these different things. And so he's like, I get a lot of work done, but I feel like I could get more done, and he's like, I don't know why like these things stop me. And I was telling him about how like he needs to take his phone and put it in the other room, how like the real thing is focus. It's not that people don't know what they need to do. They know exactly what they need to do. They just can't do it. Right. And in the environment that we live in today, with all of the stuff that is competing for our attention and the dopamine rush that we get from all these different things, it's very like work is not exciting to us. It's boring because we can't focus on that thing. And so like that's what I found is jumping on the focus blocks. I was able to like just sit there and know. And again, talking about what we talked about before, that public accountability, right? You know that you need to be there working, and you're supposed to focus, so you're going to do that because people are literally watching you, right? And you're part of that environment, right? It's not even that people are watching you; it's that you're making a pact, like a commitment, like a shared commitment, and so you don't want to violate that commitment because yeah, could you sneak your phone during a focus block? Yes. But if you did that, then you would be in some way violating the commitment you've made with all these other people who are not doing that. Right. So you're all agreeing to do this thing. And so that is extremely powerful because then when you focus, that's all you really need. You can do in an 8-hour day, right? How much work actually gets done, right? I did this. I measured it at the office when I used to work for a regular job, and it was 1 to 2 hours of work and 8 hours of sitting in the office, right? But when you jump on a focus block, you can get 4 hours worth of work done in an hour, right? Because those hours are compressed hours because it's actual focused work, right? Whereas when you're sitting in most of our environments, 1 hour of work is actually it takes us 8 hours to do because there's this check this Instagram, there's this check this email, there's all this stuff, and every time that you context switch, what ends up happening when you switch tasks is that you lose efficiency. Multitasking has been proven to be less efficient. And so that's the reason why in an 8-hour block, we only get a 1 hour of work done is because we're actually doing 4 hours. It takes us 4 hours to get 1 hour done. And then the multitasking doubles that, makes it because we're less efficient. And so if you just sit and focus for a focus block for 1 hour, and just focus, you could get literally 8 hours of work done, the equivalent of what you would get normally in a day. And so if you're doing like 2 or 3 focus blocks, you could have several days worth of work done in one time. You could do a whole week worth of work in one day if you do that. So I think that's the super awesome value of doing something like that. It's just having that. And because like I said, most people and most of my coaching clients that I work with on productivity, they know what they need to do. That's not the question. They can't do it. Why can't they do it? Because they can't focus.
Can't focus. Yeah, and for someone who's watching or listening, they're thinking, "Oh man, come on, this sounds way too good to be true." And I get it. Like it is that feeling, like when you jump on a focus block the first time you do it, like you're like, did it really happen? Did I actually get this much work done? Like, what the hell? Because one of our we have so many testimonials from people from around the world. One of our customers, his name is Akash. He's a music producer, and he's struggled with ADHD all his life since the age of 12. And ADHD is a common phenomenon, by the way. You don't feel like, oh, ADHD, like that must be a special person. Like, most of us are ADHD in some way, shape, or form. He was just diagnosed ADHD, and he was super distracted. Since the age of 12, he was struggling with it. And he tried medications, he tried courses. He took the deep work course by Cal Newport. He took the Indistractable course by Nir Eyal. He did all sorts of courses and masterminds and everything related to productivity, and he still struggled with productivity all his life. He's like, dude, medicines didn't help, courses didn't help, apps didn't help, nothing helped. And when I first jumped on Focus Block and I did the first block, I was like, oh my God, did this just happen? Did I just work without distraction for a whole freaking hour? My ADHD brain did not kick in, and I don't do anything else but this one thing that I had committed doing. How is that even possible? No distractions, nothing. He's like, this must be a fluke. So he did it again. He's like, this must be a fluke. He did it again, and he did it for a whole week. And he's like, this actually continues to work. There's something like, maybe the wheels will come off. Maybe at some point this will stop to work, and then I'll be like, I lost it, because every other tool has been like that to me. That's what you're saying. And then when we were talking to him, when I was personally I was talking to him on one-on-one because I wanted to understand his story. He told me in the 2.5 weeks till the point that he had, in the 2.5 weeks that he had joined Focus Blocks, he did the equivalent of 3 months of work. 3 months of work that he was trying to do by himself, or would have taken him 3 months, he got it done in 2.5 weeks. That's how effective it was for him. And then he says something funny. He's like, dude, when it first started to happen, and I first saw you on the blocks, as in when he first saw me on the Focus Blocks, he's like, oh, this is the guy who started it. I hope nothing happens to him so that Focus Blocks survives forever. Someone please make sure. Literally, it's like a video, like he said that. It was so funny. He was saying that. But to him, it became his savior, because he had tried so many different things and nothing worked for him to stay focused. This was the only thing that allowed him.
And you've got this available. It's 5 days a week, 24 hours a day for 5 days. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in, you can find a Focus Block. And you've even got set up, I know, like fun, hey, meet together happy hours. Like, if you're out there and you're working on your own and you just simply want to engage with interesting people, and again, I'm a paying member. So you get my money every single month. That's why I wanted, you guys to see this. Even if you decide, hey, you know what, I don't even want to grab the Mission Fragrance set. I just want to go check out Focus Blocks. Do that. I know you've got a free trial on your website.
Yeah, the funny thing is, even if people decided to go to my website today and buy an annual subscription to Focus Blocks, it'll be more expensive. It's literally $329 for the whole year. So it'll still be more expensive than what Antonio's doing here, which is giving it away for a whole year with the Mission Fragrances set total, right?
And again, this is a tool I use. That's why I wanted you guys to actually see this. And I also like how between sessions, they encourage you to stand up. You've got really good coaches. Each session has a coach who's in there. So, I mean, this is basically paying for, just about $1 a day. You get a private coach that's available 24/7 during that day to be able to help you be more productive. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I'm really excited for where the business can go and stuff. Now we are getting some questions about productivity. So Dom, I know you've had some questions. I'm cool with. But again, guys, we put that link in there. Go grab your Mission Fragrance set with a free year access to Focus Blocks. Let's go ahead and change this up a bit. I'm going to get rid of that right there, and we'll go through and we'll grab a few questions. Let me see. Will is saying that he found from working from home, he's able to schedule breaks. I work for an hour and I set an alarm. Then I get back to break and then plan one. And that's a way to do it is, that's what's the Pomero method in general. The big thing missing for what you're doing, Will, though, is I think having other people around you. And that's the huge thing with the Focus Blocks is that, I mean, I know the personalities. It's kind of funny. You can be private. You could turn your video off, but you do encourage, Manny, for you always have your video on.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of Focus Blocks. And for everyone who's wondering, what the hell is this thing? Because we haven't yet explained how focus blocks work. Every focus block is a 1 hour window of time where we actually get work done. And it's broken down into 3 phases: 5 minutes of focus ritual, followed by 50 minutes, 50 minutes of deep work, followed by 5 minutes of recharge. And there's a focus guide, a guide who's appointed, whose job is to ensure that we all stay focused throughout the focus block. And it's we join a Zoom room on the hour. You cannot be late. You cannot join it 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late, 4 minutes. And that's a big part of why it works, right? You have to join at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., right? So we join on the hour. Everyone joins on the hour in the Zoom room. And
So
then
everyone's talking about these things like I saw, oh, I've got a dedicated workspace. Alan was saying this. I've got noise canceling headphones. Those are nice 1%, 5%. Having your own dedicated workspace, I'll agree. That's like a 10 to 15% like improvement in productivity. But what I love about what you do is there's really no substitute for having people around you. And it's like literally you're hiring like a teacher to say, hey, you need to be here at this time because you've committed to this. Show up. If you're late, guess what? We lock the door. You're not allowed in. That actually like really is a very powerful thing. The fact that you have to be let into the focus block. And if you're 30 seconds late, sorry, you have to wait. You have to schedule another one. It's like, and you can't blame anyone but yourself.
it's commitment, right?
Yeah.
It's commitment, and it is strict schedule. It's like commitment. That's what I was,
Which I got a
when we were
fragrance
talking
for
about,
that, by the way.
yeah, Mission Fragrance. I was like, spirit, put a little bit of commitment when you show up to work or when you show up to a focus block, and say, I will commit to freaking doing this work on this focus block for the
So
hour.
Salam is saying that he tried everything. That's not true. He has not tried focus blocks. Yeah, I mean,
No.
is his name in there? So here's the thing: is like you haven't tried everything. Now you have tried things. I'm not going to deny that, but you can't. You've got to. I mean, surround yourself with people. I mean, Salam, if you showed up to boot camp, and that's what I was. So to the other extreme, I do have this vision of putting together a boot camp in the woods of Wisconsin that men would just fly out to reset their lives. But that would be like almost like an intervention. It's like, because I've got some friends that really just want to almost reset their life. And it's like, okay, well, the way, fly you out here for 10 weeks and you would, you'd eat what we give you. You would sleep or it's like no access to your cell, it's like except for limited time. And I mean, that is a way to do it. Very, very extreme. But I think that the reality is most of us would probably need something a little bit less. And focus blocks is, I think, that nice medium.
Yeah. And go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, it's just like what we were talking about just earlier about commitment, right? Like it is that thing, because it's not that we don't know what we need to do, what we need to work on. It's just that we don't want to commit to it. But when you schedule a focus block and now you're like, no, now this is the time that I'm going to work on that thing. Now you've committed to it. And now you actually believe that you're committed to it, that you believe that you're going to do it. And so you do it, which is also part of the reason why I haven't been on as many focus blocks as I should be, is because I don't want to commit to it right now. Right. Like that's because I know that if I do, then it will be effective. But, so it's interesting. So it is one of the ways that you can create a commitment, create an external force that is going to cause you to do what you need to do.
Today, us talking about this, I'm the external force. I texted both you guys, sent you messages. I'm like, I'm waiting, and you didn't want to let me down. I mean, realistically, I get it. Like you're like, it's early, and I'm sure there was a moment you're like, what did I commit to? Gosh darn it. Like, I could be doing what? Yeah.
I am teaching a masterclass today on the quantum leap. And it's funny that, I'm working on that. I've been working on it like a mad dog for the last 5 days. But since we had this commitment for a while now, I knew that I had to show up no matter what. Because Antonio asked me to do it, I'm going to do it, right? There's no way out of it. Even though I'm like working nonstop, I'm putting in like 8, 10, 12, 15 focus blocks a day just to get this done. And there's so many questions about procrastination here. Maybe I can address just a little examples and tips from my life, and how or why focus blocks is really the ultimate tool for that. And I don't say that because it's what I created, but what I've seen with the results. One of our one of our members, his name is Peter Roth. He's a teacher in Philly. And he said, he was trying to do this courses on game development. He wanted to make a career shift to game development. And for 4 years, he kept on trying. He's like, I'm working on this. Yes, I need to do this. Yes, one day I'll get the time to do it. One day I'll get the time to do it. In 4 years, he did 2 courses on game development, even though he was so excited about that idea, but he would keep procrastinating, just like we all did. And then he jumps on focus blocks, and he does 2 focus blocks in an hour. He's like, okay, I got most of my done for the teaching work done. Now I can actually do the things that I want to do, or the thing that was challenging and progress. So he started doing work. He started working on his gaming projects in the focus blocks, and within a month, he did more game courses than he did in the 4 weeks prior. All the stuff that he was procrastinating on, it went out of the window, because what happens is, when you show up for a focus block, you don't really have to worry about all of that. Willpower and motivation is not something you need to generate anymore. It's being given to you by the community. It's a mind fuck. I'm sorry. It's a very interesting phenomenon that happens, that when you are in that community, suddenly difficult work gets much easier, because you're part of the community. You get energized from the presence of the community. And so whatever it is, all you need to do is say, I will work on this in the initial 5 minutes of the focus ritual. All you have to say is, I will work on this specific thing, whatever that thing you're procrastinating on. And you watch the magic happen. For the next 50 minutes, you will work without distractions on it, because we have set the conditions for it. So it's kind of like we're using other people to make ourselves more productive. We're using the power of community to help you achieve your goals. And just for as we're talking more and more about procrastination, the reason why you're procrastinating most of the times boils down to your inner reasons for why you are not trying, why you don't want to do that thing one way or another. But what if we totally forget about your inner reasons, and we just did it in a public forum where it's all about you saying, I will do this, and now you have to follow through on it. So we take away your personal motivations, your personal discipline, your personal willpower requirements, and we just put you in public in a Zoom room where you make a commitment. Now you'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, nothing like having the pressure of, I don't want to let down other people.
Exactly. I mean, we kind of started this conversation with that idea in a meta sense, right? The quantum leap environment. But this is like in the micro sense, all the way down to like day to day. How do you implement this hour by hour to get yourself to do your best work? And by the way, since we're talking about the year, like we've literally, Focus Box is like designed for you, because we do the annual goal setting and goal achievement workshop, and then we also do the quarterly goal setting and goal achievement workshops. Then we do monthly goal planning, goal setting, goal planning, goal review workshops, and then we do weekly planning and review workshops. So you cannot run, you cannot hide from us. We're going to find you, we're going to make you do the planning, and we're going to make you do the work. That's how committed I am to making sure that you actually do the damn thing, because we're running these live workshops every single week, every single month, every single quarter, every single year, to get you to do the work. And when you have this live accountability and live community of people, and you start showing up day in and day out, you work because there are people around you. Like, there's a very interesting phenomenon called the coffee shop effect, which is go where people are working to get work done. And in the age of COVID and everything else, this is the place where you go, where people are working and focused, and you get work done.
So I want to take a step back, go back to talking about the vision. And how detailed does this vision need to be? And do you see like the more detailed, the better? You have a vision of your personal life, a vision of your business life, a vision like for this idea, so that I can make a declaration, like to be really clear. How do you see, like, if you were to ask one of your coaching clients, or I want to see your vision, what would you expect?
See, the more further out the vision is, the more hazy it can be. the more shorter term the vision is, the more clear it needs to be. All the way down to today, it needs to be very clear, very specific, actionable stuff. But you go down 10, 20, 30 years down the line, it can be hazy. It can be a little more pie in the sky, clouds kind of vision. So we're talking timelines here. We're talking extrapolation of timelines. Like depending on how long of a vision we're talking, we can go to that level of abstraction.
Yeah, I think of that as like if you're trying to go to China, all you really need to know, like if you're in California, is just to go west. You don't need very specifics, right? But as you start to get closer, you would need specific navigation, right? If you're trying to get to a specific destination. But if you're just like, I'm just going, like you just need enough to know which the general direction that you're heading is for that, the further out you are, right? As you get closer, you need to know exactly where it is.
So, yeah, a 5-year vision may not be as hazy. A 10-year vision will be a lot more hazy, and a 20-year vision will be a lot more nebulous and hazy, and that's totally fine. That's the way life works. But a 1-day vision or 1-hour vision has to be super concrete and precise, right? And when I say vision, what I'm really saying is like, where do I see myself in that hour, in that day, in that week, in that month, in that quarter, in that year? So it becomes very deterministic in short term and very undeterministic in the long term. Or the longer term the vision gets, the less deterministic it becomes. The less.
So, John, for you, I know, you anything formulating, do you have any like thinking about next year? Like, I guess we can just throw out some resolutions, some goals, things that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like part of it is like as I'm thinking about your issue, right? I'm in the same kind of spot, right? I still have one foot on the dock, and I still can't completely convince myself to get off the dock, right? Because I would like to do something completely different, right? I'd like to
Completely different than what you're doing at Bulldog, completely different than YouTube. I mean, I know a YouTuber that or he was more an online guy, and he just went to real estate a few years ago. Just said, you know what, I have another friend that sold his business. Actually, Mike over at Rib Tea, he's pretty much shutting down that business, and he opened up a medical some type of like skin shop over in South Dakota. He moved to a different state. He went through a divorce, and it was just something he wanted to be like a totally different life. And sometimes I think about that, like a little bit jealous. I mean, I'm happy with my wife and stuff, but it's just like, but you start thinking about like, what would it be like just to live a totally different life?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm thinking about like, because I have my other company, Simple Programmer. I still have that. I've still got, so it's like, I don't know. I to some degree, I'd like to just completely, like, what if I just shut it down? What if I just and just did something else, like took the leap, right? And then I have to make this, whatever else I'm doing, work, because I take that leap. But that's the part that I've always been stuck on.
But to take that leap, we've got to have a place where we're going, right? And so, like, I have trouble formulating that place I would go. Like, there's ideas of what I would want to do. Like, I threw out something in crypto, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not like there's going to be less stuff here in a year. There's going to be more of it, but it's like so many areas to go. It's like, do you go crypto? Do you go DeFi? Do you go NFTs? It's like there's just.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you pick one, then because it's not about the actual thing. It's about like the growth that you experience through doing the thing. So, but that's the hard part. Is I don't know if you guys have read. Have you guys read Matthew McConaughey's book Green Lights?
No, I haven't.
Not yet.
It's good. There's some he does this. He does the leap. He gets his foot off the dock and jumps in the boat when he switches from being an actor who does romantic comedies into getting no business for 4 years. No one will cast him for anything because he wants to do other roles, and then he finally succeeds in doing that. But he took a huge leap, a huge risk. Everything that he built his whole career, he basically is like sacrificed it all for this new thing he wanted to do. And I was always, when I read that book, I was envious of him in the sense that, like, I have always been at that crossroads. I've never been able to take the leap because, like I said, success traps you, right? To a degree, and that's why it's hard for me to come up with a 5-year like vision and whatnot, because like I know that at some point I need to be able to make that leap. But then you question yourself. You have these questions like, well, what about my security? Well, what about, like, I'm making good money now. What if I start losing some of that income? Right? Is this a foolish thing? Should I just let's just keep the engine going, just keep on turning the crank, right? So then you find that you're a slave because you're just turning a crank. So anyway, that's kind of the situation that I think that I'm in, and I feel like you're, like, it's a similar type of thing, because you have this success, and then you want to do something different, but you can't unless you're willing to take that huge leap. And I'm not willing to take that huge leap yet, but maybe and just like you, I'm trying to come up with an alternative plan. Is like, is there some kind of way that I can make it so that I can, like, transition into this thing instead of taking the leap? But we all know that until you actually make an actual commitment to it, that transition period lasts a year, and then 2 years, 5 years, and then, like, you never gradually do it. You just make the decision. It's like when people say, I'm going to start eating healthy.
Yeah.
And then, okay, it's like, no, you have to actually pick a diet. You actually have to do a thing.
Well, I know specifically, I've got to promote a ball powder in 2022. So thanks, Aaron. He's got a new product, and he's like, he's already told me that I so that's very specific, and it's going to be the Pete and Pedro ball powder. So Aaron, thanks. But we did have a good question in there. Someone was asking about those around you, and nothing like being able to take the spotlight off, because this is hard, actually, thinking about this and saying, do I really want to say this publicly? Because to me, it's not, if I'm going to make changes, there's a couple business partners I got to speak with as well. But he's got a question here, which actually I know, John, you can talk about, and is, what about when the people around you are not motivated to work with your goals, but they are necessary to accomplish the goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of specific. I mean, I guess that's when you're in a work environment mostly, where you're forced to work with people who are part of you accomplishing.
Or what if you're married, or you got a partner, and you really you want to go see the world, and it's like, and I want to travel the world for a year. Most people that are married with kids, that, or if you've got a partner, or you're in a relationship, there's someone that really, and I think that's something we've kind of skirted around, is how does this affect other people, us taking this leap? Because a lot of times, I know, your family's identified, if you got something secure that can really make, and if you're the sole breadwinner, that can really put people on edge, that you're throwing this up to go try something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is that you have to inspire by just doing the thing, right? Like putting in the work, putting in the effort, and that's the best thing that you can do, is just to try and inspire someone who isn't motivated, who's necessary to complete the task, right? I mean, I struggled with this a lot in my programming days in the work environment, where I would, you can't convince people that to have the quality of work that you do, and to do things the right way that's necessary. But you can do set an example that people want to follow that example, that they're inspired by what you're doing, and then they come on board. I think there's also just going to be certain situations where you're just blocked because if you have goals and motivation to do something and someone else is necessary to accomplish those goals and you can't get them to be on board, then you have to decide, what are you going to do? Like, you can't, force someone. So
Manny, what do you think? You talking about?
Yeah, this is a tough one, and I'm looking at sometimes I have to think about my team members, and one of the things that I have learned to do now more than ever before is to understand their motivations, to try to talk to them, to really get to understand what they want to see, what they want to create, where their hearts are, and helping them get there through, to say, okay, well, I see this is what you want. Let me help you realize this. But also realizing that that realization comes because we're all working on the bigger goal for the business on some sort, right? So understanding what their true motivations are and then guiding their actions in alignment with their true motivations, but also guiding their actions in alignment with true motivations that lead to your big goal. So it's a tougher sell, but it is something that is important. If you are in a situation where you are the owner and you have employees who are not behaving, there is a time when you will have to let them go. There's not even a question. You will have to let them go and move on. But there is, this place where you can work with them to help them do the work they want to do while they also fulfill the mission of the business.
yeah, sometimes I say you don't have to agree, but you have to be on board. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
try and convince you, but you have to be on board.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos, I think, is the one, or Jeff, or was it Reed Hastings? He's like, disagree and commit. Disagree and commit, as in, yeah, okay, I get it that you disagree, but we're all going to commit to this no matter what.
What about in a non-business relationship where it's your spouse, it's your partner, it's someone that you've been in a relationship with?
Man, I'm going to punt on that one. That's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
Sometimes it also has to be, you don't have to agree, but you have to be on board.
I think one thing that I have learned in relationships that I've been trying to do more of is, as long as I have their best at heart, everything works out for the best. It's only when I get selfish is when things break down. So for as long as I can ensure that I have their best interest at heart at the deepest level, I can show them a way. I can work with them to show them a way that will work. But if I'm only doing it for my own personal interest, that's when it will not work. So I think both of them were kind of coming to the same, or personally me, I feel like whether it's business or personal, like it's understanding their best interests and helping them fulfill their best interests is the way you get them to fulfill your best interests. Because if you give people what they want, they will give to you what you want. In some ways, yeah, Garrett. I assume it's Garrett White or Garrett White.
So I'm putting together two separate visions right now for my business and for my life. I mean, obviously, how long do you see people working on these visions? Trying to put this stuff, like, it's like, it would seem like it's something so base, something so powerful that it's not something you maybe work on once. It's something that you're constantly like adjusting, or
yeah, you're tuning it up, and depending on the scale of that vision in terms of timelines, it might need longer time than just 20, 30 minutes. You might need to go take a walk in the woods a few times to envision the reality. Like I think of it as a 1% rule of planning. Like whatever the time frame you're looking at, give 1% to planning, 1% to working towards it to plan it out. So if you think of a day, 24 hours, um, 1% of it, if you were to do it 0.24 hours, which would be 15 minutes, not a bad time, right?
Yeah.
Same for a week, 168 hours, 1%, 1.6 hours. Yeah. A month, 30 days, 1%, 0.3 days, a few hours, 4 hours. A year, 365 days, 3.6 days, 1%. Yeah. 1% rule of planning. So the longer the horizon gets, the bigger your window of planning gets to get that clarity.
1% rule. That's quite a bit. I know, was it Keith Cunningham? I like his book. Have you read that one? The Road Less Stupid?
Is it about the thinking questions?
He does. Yeah. He's all about like, take time to think. Like, but he really emphasizes, that life is about, we make a lot of stupid decisions because we don't think. And he zeroes in on that. That's an area that I stay so busy with all this stuff, but I haven't been taking as much time to think, versus falling into the trap of, doing this, doing that, answering this question, filming this video, starting this project.
Yeah. Thinking time, planning time. Still getting back from my COVID.
Yeah. Focus blocks that could be used. You could have a thinking time specifically designed for focus blocks.
Yeah, we're taking focus blocks in ways that I personally didn't imagine I would take. For example, one of the focus blocks we do every Monday now at 10 a.m. is our money block. It's money and finances block. So I do it for myself because this is my personal time to hold myself accountable to do my money and finances once a week.
How many people you haven't shown up to that one?
We have like sometimes 15, 20 people showing up.
Okay.
And the beauty of that is it's a trigger. It's like, yes, time. I have to do my money stuff. Most people will never get around to doing their money stuff for weeks, months, years, right? But here we are, Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, money block. Do it, right? Of course, you can choose to do other things, but that's the intention, and that keeps you honest and accountable. I'm going to start another block, which will be your relationships block. It'll be your time to go work on your relationships, go reach out to people, contact them, make connections, all of those things, like Keith Ferrazzi style. Go do the work on that. So different blocks like that to kind of make myself accountable, and in the process, everyone else accountable to doing the most important, crucial things in life. Go talk to your mom right now if that's what you need to do in your relationship block, right? Or reach out to your best friends, or start communicating with your best affiliates, whatever it is. So all of those things that we know we should be doing but we don't do, even though they are so fundamentally important for us, working on our investments, working on our portfolios and things like that, we're creating blocks for it on a weekly basis, so people just show up and do it. So it's like becoming more and more fun ways to operate your life out of it. Maybe one of them will be a thinking time block, and we'll have specific questions available for people to do that.
The thing with money, for me, the hard part is making sure everything's in one place. I use Personal Capital, and that does a pretty good job, but it doesn't have anything for crypto. Have you found anything, John, that like brings everything together, including crypto?
No, I'm not really even using any kind of like thing like personal. I was using Personal Capital at one point. I was using what's it called? Mint at one point. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that has the crypto piece. I don't know if you want to have the crypto piece to it in there. I think that's a little more, keep that secret.
Yeah, like you don't want that tracking.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
That's one thing I need to do, is I need to set a budget for the first time in a long time and figure out, because I feel like I want to get a hold of what what's actually coming in, what's going out, because I've been having more expenses with more employees and stuff. And then I'd like to be able to invest more into the business. Like just a quick side note here. Manny, you sent me that email about like investing in the business, and that got me really thinking a lot. And it's like I was just thinking the other day, I was like, it's like if you invest in something else, like you take money and you invest in something else, you got to pay taxes first, and then you get it. So let's say you got $100,000, right, that you made. So you only get 60K of that to invest, right? But if you have $100,000 and you invested in your business, you get to invest the entire $100,000 and get the return. So you're already getting almost a 100% return on your money just by, like, all you have to do is break even and you're making money on an investment in the business, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was thinking about that a lot more. That's
but
one of
the hard
things
part with the investment in the business is they're rarely passive. These are things that you put money into something, and then you've got to see it to fruition. An example would be our Mission fragrances, which, guys, again, you can go grab. Right? That beautiful, absolutely. And get a year access to focus blogs. But the money I put into this, it's like we should see a nice return. We haven't seen that yet because we haven't even made our money back yet with total sales. But it is something that, exactly like you said, that's where I've been looking at actually where can I reinvest in my company and find new, but make sure I'm investing in things like we invested in our website this year. We have a good looking brand new website that we rebuilt, but that is we haven't seen the return on that one. That one, our ad revenue and stuff has pretty much stayed the same. I knew it needed to happen, but it was almost like when you invest in an accountant, you don't necessarily see a return from the accountant directly. It's something that you're making a bet on long term is going to pay, and you're going to have better books, and you're going to stay out of jail, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm thinking mostly investments in like employees. That makes sense, is because you like the idea of like if you're putting a majority of the money back into the business and somehow, then that's like it's the best way to grow, right? If you can figure out ways to be able to put it back in.
Yeah. I think that email that we were talking about, John, like the concepts that he was espousing, which I totally 100% get, is like, if you believe this is the business which can grow, if you believe in your business and you believe it should grow because
Right.
there's something you're creating that's so valuable that it has to grow, then the money that you invest in the long term is the best investment there compared to any other place, because anywhere else that money is going to underperform compared to what it can do with your personal business in the long term. Maybe in the short term, you don't see the returns.
Yeah.
But in the long term, that should be the highest ROI investment, where you say, okay, screw it. I don't need my money invested in so many different things because this will return the highest ROI amongst everything else that I do.
Yeah.
So that's where the challenge becomes like, is this the highest ROI thing for me personally, right?
Cool. All right, guys. Well, hey, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap things up. Really appreciate you guys making time for me today. Gave me a lot to think about. I think if I were to wrap this up, it's put yourself in a situation in which you can basically, you're talking about a quantum leap, and to have a quantum leap jump in development, you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation where you can't escape, and you're going to be forced to do something that, the example being Kennedy at Rice University giving that speech, we will put a man on the moon in 10 years. So what is going to be your declaration? But take the time to really think about what that vision is, and at least 1% of your time, it's like, which is, adds up. I mean, take the time to really make sure you've got that vision. The farther out the vision, the more hazy it's going to be, the closer, more specific. But be specific about what it is that you want to go out there, and then find a way to put yourself in that situation that it's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to put you out there, and you're going to put the world on notice that you're going to go out there and achieve it.
Yeah, and for all of you guys who are on the boundary of like whether you want to get this deal or not, I am running the Quantum Leap Masterclass where I will be teaching like what we just talked about, but also like the exact variables you need to put at play in order to make it happen. Right. So everything we talked about, it might have blown your mind. Like this is the first time you actually see that life is all incremental progress until you get into quantum leap environment. Question is, how do you create that? I'll be teaching that in the masterclass. So if you join today, if you join on this live class, you will also get that quantum leap masterclass as well to be able to join live and talk about it. So I hope you will.
Cool. All right, Manny, John, really appreciate you guys. Good seeing you. Get some rest, and Manny, hope you feel better. And John, you have a great day, good weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Happy New
All right,
Year,
guys.
everyone.
Yep.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Everybody.
Bye.
Take care.